Hi guys, it's Paul back with another video. So this is a tool I've had for probably a couple of weeks now. It's the Peterson Pro-1 pick, and in the UK we know them as radial locks or tubular locks. Now in the UK we typically have the 7-pin version, sorry. There is an 8-pin version, and I don't know if there's a 9, but I know there's definitely a 10-pin version, and there's probably other variations, but the UK, the 7-pin is the most common. Typically found on bicycle locks, cabinets, key safes, cheap digital safes as an override key, and different variations of furniture, etc., cabinets. And yeah, so most people will probably be, for opening these, are probably more familiar with these friction type of tubular picks. So the sliders here, you would set on the table, tighten the collar, and using variations in friction, you would then push that into the lock, rotate it and push it and lift it out and then back in again, twisting it as you go along. And then what would happen is the resistance of the friction on these sliders would hold them in place, and the pins would slowly push them up until you had an open. And I've had huge success with these over the years, opened up many locks, and they've been fine. But there is quite a few that I have come across where you've probably spent longer than you would normally, and eventually you've got it, but other times there's been the odd one where you've then had to go in and single pin pick it, which is a bit of a nightmare when you're trying to tension the lock and pick it, and then you have to pick it multiple times. So these basically, what the lock manufacturers decided to do is, where you've got your 7 chambers with the pins, is they split up the types of springs that they use. So some chambers would have heavy springs and others would have soft springs. So therefore, you know, if you've got some pins that are being forced up really heavy and some that are hardly being pushed up, the friction type of tool is going to be very ineffective, no matter how much you adjust that friction, unless you get extremely lucky, get it open. So this is where the Peterson one comes in to its own, because it effectively allows you to singly pick the lock to get an open. Now I've opened up a fair few locks with this on the bench. It doesn't belong to me. I've been loaned it, so I've only got it for a small period of time, so I'll be getting this ready to go back. But I thought I would do a video on it for those who haven't come across it. I know there's some other videos out there. I know Bosnian Bill did a video on it, and there's a couple of others out there. I think actually Peterson did his own video as well. So okay, so the keys, if you're not familiar with them, they've got a little nib at the top, and then on the inside above that nib there's another nib, okay, and then the key has little notches cut into the side of it which relate to a depth in the key. So when the key is inserted and rotated, you can do well, in this case it can do a full 360, but normally when it's on furniture you'll get only a small range of motion. But because of that nib on the key, when it's inserted into the lock and turned, that nib hides behind the shoulder, so the key cannot be extracted until it's achieved a full 360. Now if I load this into the vise, okay, now I need to keep this tool and the vise and the lock as flat as possible. Normally you'd be probably doing it face on into a door, but for the purpose of the video and for me to ensure that I can do it properly, I need to do it so it's in the down position. Now this tool, okay, as I said, it allows you to do a single pin picking. Now there's an extra hole here because this tool can be set up with the additional bits and pieces in the kit to work on an 8-pin lock as well as a 7-pin, and also there's variations in different tips for different locks. Okay, so I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to stick with what I know. It's not my tool to mess around with. But this pin that you stick out, that's our tensioning pin. So if I just show you on this one, So as you can see in the lock, that inner circle where you've got 648 in there, there's a little notch in that. That inner part is what actually turns. The outer portion stays where it is. So using that nib, we're going to insert that into that portion of the lock, and then that's what gives us our tension, as well as allowing us to put our rotational force in. Okay, so I'm going to apply downward pressure and clockwise rotational force. Okay, now using these, we're just going to go along and lightly press on them, finding the binding pin. Okay, so 1 is bound, 2 is springy, 3 is bound, 4 is springy, 5 is springy, 6 is bound, 7 is bound. Okay, so 1 is bound, so I'm going to start with 1. Little click on 1, now it's gone springy. 2 solid, little bit springy on 2. 3 solid, little click on 3, bit of springiness. 4's fine, 5's fine, 6 is solid, little click on 6. 7 is solid, little click on 7, and I felt a bit of rotational force. Okay, back to 1. 1 is springy, 2 is bound, little bit of rotational and a click then. 3 is bound, 4 is bound, so I'm going to do a little bit on 3. Let's try 4, and there we go. Okay, we've now got it opened, so I'm going to hold the tool in this position. Okay, now these outer collars, if I tighten them up, and what these do, these will clamp down and hold them pins in place on the tool. So I'm only tightening them up and just till they bind. Okay, I'm not winding them up too tight, because then that'll effectively just over impression the pin, so when I turn them it'll push them too far. So I just want them to be bound, and then I'll go around and just test them all again. So this way we'll effectively have a key now, and from that you'll be able to get your cuts and decode it, and then effectively cut a key if you've got a machine that can cut to code. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now that in theory should allow me to turn the tool as if it is a key. Okay, and there we have a full 360-degree rotation. Okay, I can now take that tool out, and there you go. Okay, so that is them pins that are sticking out now. So that's our tensioning pin, silver pin, and then the other pins is effectively what our key heights are. So if I haven't adjusted anything, it should allow me to, okay, so something's moved slightly. Let's put it, okay, I'd have to do it again anyway. But as you can see, because when I pressed on one of them pins, I felt one of them move slightly. So yeah, so this the Peterson Pro-1. I mean, it's an expensive bit of kit, and it's a big old piece of kit as well. Okay, but it's handy for one of them situations. I mean, we all get locks that don't play ball, and you know, as often as these do open, there's going to be the odd one where you do wish you could open it and not have the headache of having to do any damage to a lock. So yeah, so there you go, guys. That's the Peterson Pro-1. Picked the radial 7-pin cylinder. So I mean again, it will do all of these. I don't know if they're keyed alike. That's 648. Yeah, both 648, so they're keyed alike. Oh, and just to show the key still works after. Okay, so the key's still fine. So the lock's not damaged in any shape or form. So if you'd be happy, please like, share and subscribe. and hit the notification bell, because obviously I've got a catalogue of videos to be released, and then obviously new content. So if anyone's got any ideas or things that they'd like to see, then please put it in the description or the comments below, and I'll try and get some other videos of other different things, of the tools that I use on the van, etc. But thanks for watching, guys, and stay humble.